Have you ever felt that? That kind of quiet, shaky feeling you get at work where it feels like you're playing a game, but the rules keep changing and you're just not sure where you stand anymore? Well, you're not alone. Something really fundamental is shifting in the world of work, and that's what we're going to dive into here. What it is, and way more importantly, what we can actually do about it. It's actually pretty simple when you boil it down. That old unspoken deal we all kind of had. You give your loyalty and you get security and a clear path forward in return. Yeah, that agreement is broken. It's just gone. And it's left a lot of us feeling pretty adrift.
And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? This wasn't some negotiation you were invited to. It feels like a massive decision was made about your entire working life, and you weren't even in the room. Now you're just left trying to figure out how to live with the results.
So what replaced that old contract? Well, that's the thing. Nothing did. Not really. What we got instead is just ambiguity, all dressed up in corporate buzzwords and performance reviews that honestly leave you more confused than when you started. And this ambiguity isn't some abstract concept. You can feel it every day. It's when your job description suddenly has 3 new responsibilities you never signed up for. It's that email that comes in at 9 p.m. that you just know you're expected to answer. It's looking at your paycheck, then at your bills, and realizing, wait a minute, the math isn't working anymore. So when you're faced with all of this, what's the most common reaction? What's the dream? It's the dream of leaving. The fantasy of just walking out that door for the very last time and never, ever looking back. And let's be really clear about this. This fantasy is so powerful because it comes from a very real, very human place. It's not just about running away from a bad job. It's this deep hunger to be the one holding the pen, to be the author of your own life, to finally have a sense of control and meaning. But here's the trap. It's a subtle one, but it's so important. When freedom becomes this thing you'll get in the future, after you quit, after you save up enough money, then your life right now, it just becomes a waiting room. You're not actually living, you're just waiting to start living. And in the process, you've quietly given away your power in the only time you actually have, right now. The real irony is, while you're sitting there waiting to be free, you're still completely controlled by the very system you want to escape. The job might be the cage, but waiting to leave is what keeps you sitting in it. Okay, so all of this brings us to probably the most important idea we're going to talk about. We need to untangle 2 concepts that we mix up all the time, but they are fundamentally different: freedom and autonomy. That fantasy of quitting tells us the answer is freedom, right? Just get free from the boss, free from the 9 to 5, free from all the rules. But is that really the whole story? See, when most of us talk about freedom, we're talking about an external state of being. It all depends on things outside of us lining up just right. Having enough money, not having a manager breathing down your neck, the market being good for your new business idea. It's conditional. It can be given to you, and just as easily, it can be taken away. This comparison right here, this is everything. On one side, you've got freedom. It's external, it's about the absence of constraints, but it's totally dependent on your circumstances. Then, on the other side, you have autonomy. That is internal. It's not about what's missing, it's about the presence of your own authorship. It's an unconditional practice that you and only you can cultivate. So, what is autonomy? It's an inside job. It has nothing to do with whether or not you have a boss. It's the power you have to decide what your work means, how you relate to it, and who you are inside of it, no matter what's going on around you. It's about being the author. Okay, that sounds great in theory, right? Be the author. But what does that actually look like on a random Tuesday when you've got a deadline and your boss is annoying? How do you actually do this? All right, first things first, this is not a to-do list. You can't just achieve autonomy and check it off. It's more like an orientation, a whole new way of looking at and relating to yourself and your work. It starts by asking this question. You start to consciously separate your own self-worth from your job title. You decide for yourself what you get out of this work, what part of it matters to you, completely independent of what your company or your manager thinks. You stop outsourcing your identity. Next up, autonomy isn't about pretending you're not frustrated. Oh, the frustrations are real. But it's about having the ability to feel that frustration, to even name it, without letting it become the entire story of your life. You contain the critique. The critique doesn't contain you. And finally, it's about this little daily check-in with yourself. Even inside the most rigid job, you still get to decide how you show up. You are the author of your own mindset, your own integrity, your own focus. And that's a space that no employer can ever truly take away from you. Now look, this is hard work. And you know why? Because our whole culture celebrates the stuff it can measure. Promotions, KPIs, productivity hacks. This internal work, it's slow, it's quiet. You can't put it on a dashboard or your performance review. There's no app for it. So where does all of this leave us? Well, in this world of professional chaos and instability, this internal state of autonomy, it might just be the only solid ground we have left to stand on. And here's a final thought to really chew on. We spend so much energy talking about the external problems at work, the bad bosses, the low pay. But what if the most important question about work has always been an internal one, about who you are and how you create meaning, no matter what your job title is? Because that's the question that's left when everything else is stripped away. Beyond the deadlines, beyond the frustrations, beyond the job itself, who are you inside all of this? And let's be absolutely crystal clear about this key takeaway. Autonomy is not going to fix a toxic workplace or a stagnant salary. It's not a magic wand, but it is the solid ground you can stand on. It's your anchor while you figure out how to navigate that broken system. So, the work begins now, right now. Not when you quit, not when you get a better boss. The practice of being the author of your own life cannot wait for perfect conditions to arrive, because the practice itself is what builds the strength you need to endure, to change things, and maybe, ultimately, to create those better conditions for yourself.